Welcome to Bedcrime Stories Podcast. I'm your host, T, and if true crime is your jam, and like me, you enjoy delving into unsolved cases, trying to figure out who done it, please consider subscribing. Also, while you're at it, please hit that like button. Good evening, true crime friends. Tonight I want to go back to the basics and take a look at some of the things Donny and Candus have said and done that lead me to believe they know what happened to Summer and they know where she is. The U.S. Sun newspaper reported in a November 2nd, 2021 article entitled, "Where's Summer?" the following. At some point around 6:30 p.m., Summer ventured back inside the home on her own because she wanted to go downstairs and play with her toy. That last part, the bit that says she wanted to go downstairs and play with her toys, is a quote from Summer's father, Chateau Wells. We now know from Candace Bly's former friend Allie that Summer preferred to play upstairs in the kitchen where the boys typically hung out, the room with the table and the TV. It seems unlikely that Summer would have wanted to play downstairs in that dark dungeon all by herself when she could have simply brought her toys upstairs and been in the sunshine surrounded by her brothers. Candace Bly even said in her interview with Chris McDonough of the Interview Room that before she, Summer, and Candus allegedly planted flowers that day, Summer was playing on the floor in that upstairs front room, the kitchen. Remember how Candus described Summer jumping up and saying, "Pretty flowers," as soon as she supposedly asked Summer to come outside and help plant the little cacti? Candus also said that Summer had asked her when they were planting the plants, when they finished that whole business, that Summer said she wanted to go back over to the house to play with her brothers. Well, her brothers, as Candus also told us, were upstairs in the kitchen, sitting at that table. So why would Summer go downstairs? As Candus later said, the boys said, "Well, Mom, she went downstairs to play with her toys." None of that makes sense. Note the time, too. The article mentions 6:30 p.m. We now know that the calls to 911 came in around 6:30 p.m. Some people have said they were at 6:21 p.m. and 6:26 p.m. respectively. Whatever, we do know that the call came in, we can safely say, sometime around 6:30. Chateau Wells in his call said that Summer had only been missing 10 minutes. Who calls 911 just a few minutes after they notice their child missing on a large property? Right? We already know this stuff, but I wanted to reiterate these details and go back over them because now, at 9 months out from Summer's disappearance, some people still want to play with the abduction theory. What I'm trying to say is that the parents have shared a story that doesn't make sense. They mess up the details. They contradict themselves. They say one thing one day, and then on another day, they say another thing. If it looks like a lie, sounds like a lie, doesn't mesh with the information of several other people, it's probably a lie. Chateau Wells is also quoted as saying this in the article: "I went down in the basement and she was gone. So she went out the basement door, which was unlocked, and we haven't seen her since." End quote. So is that a mistake by the U.S. Sun? Did they mix up who said that? Because that sounds an awful lot like what Candus said to Chris McDonough. If Don really said that, is he mirroring exactly what his wife said? If you saw Candus's interview with Chris McDonough, she said that everything was locked up while the boys were home. No one in, no one out. Jose Roman, in his interviews with Justice for All, said that the door downstairs, allegedly, had a broken lock and that the family had a blue couch pushed up against that door to make it harder for the kids to go out through the door. Don, Candus, Did you fix that lock before Summer went missing? So was the lock broken or not at the time of Summer's disappearance? Don is also quoted as saying this: "The boys a lot of times would leave this unlocked and wide open a bunch of times, and we'd get on them and tell them, you can't do that, but we'd always find it open a bunch of times. We tried to control that, but we couldn't control that 100% of the time." End quote. Why can't we get the same answer about that door and its lock from Don, Candus, and Jose? It's a simple issue. Was the door closed and locked? Could Summer open the door? It should be a straightforward answer. I will submit to you that the reason for all the different answers is this: lies and subterfuge. Next, Don was quoted as saying this: "She would never leave our hill." But now we've heard from Jose Roman that in the short time he lived at 110 Ben Hill Road, Summer wandered off that hill twice. H and Allie also told Chris McDonough that Candus often called them all worked up because she couldn't find the kids and thought she'd lost them. Sounds like Summer did leave the hill from time to time. By all accounts, she was an energetic kid. If her mom was inattentive, which it sounds like she was, and Summer wanted to go exploring, it sounds like she would have been able to wander off and have an adventure quite easily without Mom noticing until much later. And then there's the short hair. The first picture Don and Candus shared with law enforcement for the Amber Alert was Summer with long hair. In the hours after Summer vanished, police shared a picture of Summer with the long hair. Then, in a later alert, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, or TBI, tweeted this: "Missing 5-year-old Summer Wells may now have shorter hair than we pictured in our earlier alerts." Why would the parents of a missing child not provide law enforcement with a more recent photo of the child right from the get-go? I mean, Candus took tons of photos of her children, tons of TikToks, tons of videos. That's the one motherly thing that she seems to have done and done well. It makes no sense to give the police a photo that shows what Summer looked like weeks ago, but not how she looks like on the day she disappears. Either the Wells are completely devoid of common sense, or they weren't too eager to share a more precise image. Why would that be? Then there's the lie detector tests. It turns out that it wasn't just Candus who had to wait to take the test. Here's what this same article says about that. Candus reportedly took the test at the district attorney's office on June 20th, 5 days after Summer's disappearance. Donald, meanwhile, claims to have successfully completed a polygraph on June 17th. He told local media that both he and Candus had been asked to do a test sooner, but the pair were reportedly too emotional to go through with it. "At first, I didn't get no sleep for 2 days. I couldn't sleep for 2 days. It was the worst misery and pain I've ever felt in my life," he said. "I wasn't able to take a lie detector test. They made me wait a little bit. But when I did take it, I passed." Now that's Don Wells talking there. He goes on, "They made Candus wait 5 days longer to take hers. She just wasn't able to. She tried and she wasn't able to. People are saying we failed and we took another test. That's not the case. So when we did take them, we both passed," he added. So both parents had to wait to take their polygraphs. It's been rumored that Candus was under the influence of something that prevented her from taking the test right out of the gate. Now, why did Don have to wait for the test? Was he also maybe on something that would have prevented him from taking the test? and getting an accurate result? And let's be straight here. The polygraph exam isn't a cut and dry science. A polygraph is not a lie detector test. Applicants do not typically receive a pass or fail. The test can simply be inconclusive. Don't put too much weight into Don and Candus saying that they passed the polygraph. Then, 3 weeks after Summer disappeared, Don made this grim prediction. Statistically speaking, there's a good chance she's already dead. Don told the Kingsport Times-News. I hate to think that. I love her with all my heart. End quote. That type of prediction doesn't come out of the mouths of parents of missing children who honestly don't know where their child is or what happened to that child. It just doesn't. When Chateau Wells was arrested in November, it was for suspicions of driving under the influence, having an open container, improper lane usage, violation of financial responsibility, and other charges. Yes, multiple charges. His charge of financial responsibility may have stemmed from driving without insurance. Tennessee law requires drivers to provide evidence that they have the means to pay for repairs or damages after certain charges or accidents. Daddy Wells ain't a responsible parent, plain and simple. And then there was the order of protection Candus filed against her husband. She wrote, I'm afraid for my children and myself. Of course, she later asked for the order to be dismissed, and the charges against Donny were dropped. That was 2 months before Summer's disappearance. Clearly, there were issues of DV in that house. We've heard Candus in the background of recorded calls saying, ouch. Stan and Ollie over at Ben Hill Road weren't having adult conversations when they got into arguments. No, instead it sounds like they were throwing things. Don's admitted throwing a beer bottle and hitting things, as in most likely each other, and maybe the little ones too, allegedly. We don't know that. There were no, let's talk this out and deal with our problems rationally and without rage over at the Wells house. What I'm trying to say is that Don and Candus Wells and their 11-acre property filled with abandoned cars, a school bus, an old refrigerator, a bunch of other scary-looking metal objects, and an ongoing conveyor belt of questionable people either visiting or staying at 110 Ben Hill Road. When all of that is considered in total, it's an accident screaming to happen. You don't have to go looking for an outsider to be the person responsible for whatever happened to Summer. There are plenty of compelling reasons to believe that whatever happened to the 5-year-old was the result of her family situation, the type of parents she had, the parents' alleged drug and alcohol addictions, the type of people who visited the Wells, the overall state of affairs at 110 Ben Hill Road. That's all for today. I hope you'll join me tomorrow for more. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories.